Hi everyone and welcome to this week's Cookery Club. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a crustless quiche. So if you're not into pastry, or maybe you're trying to lower your calories, or maybe you just can't get any of the ready-made pastry, then this is a really handy recipe to have. The best thing about a crustless quiche is that you can make it up. It can do a dinner, it can do a lunch with a salad, it can go nicely with a baked potato. It's really tasty and it's really easy to make. You don't need that many ingredients. A lot of them you'll probably have knocking around the house. So what you will need is a bowl and a whisk and a sharp knife, chopping board, salt, pepper, spray oil, some vegetables that you fancy, and your eggs, and of course a dish that you can put it into. So just a suitable dish that can go in the oven, but preferably one that's not too deep. So I've got a pie dish here, but I've also got another baking dish that would be equally suitable. So the first thing we're going to do, or that I have done, is put my oven on. The oven is currently on at 160 degrees. That's for a fan oven. If you do have a normal conventional oven, it'll be 180 degrees. So first things first are our bacon. So we're going to cut our bacon into very small pieces and remove all of the fat. Then we're going to cut up our vegetables and we're going to add them into the pan alongside the bacon, which will be cooking just for a couple of minutes beforehand. And then we'll add them into our dish. And then we'll add our fat-free cottage cheese on top of that. Don't knock cottage cheese until you try it in this recipe, by the way, because I was not a fan, but this makes a really, really tasty lunch. So cottage cheese will go on top, and then we'll add our eggs on top of that and bake it for 30 minutes in the oven. And then whenever we bring it out, we'll leave it for about 10 just to allow it to settle in the dish, and we should then be able to cut it into portions and serve it. So let's get started. So first things first is our bacon, and ideally it's really as much as you feel you'll need. So I'm just going to take out a couple of rashers here, and I will cut it up into thin pieces first, and then trim off any excess fat after that. So not only is this tasty, but it is really healthy as well. You've kind of reduced quite a lot of the saturated fat by not adding in the milk and full fat cottage cheese, and you're not putting your cheese over the top unless you want to. So don't feel that, you know, if you don't have some of these items in the house, don't worry about it. So I've managed to get quite lean bacon, and it is actually basically the own brand out of Tesco. And again, bacon is bacon, it's up to you. But if you're trying to save a couple of pennies, or maybe it's all you can get, it will do absolutely perfectly for this recipe. So the simple way to cut the mushroom is just straight down through the middle. You don't have to do without the stalk. Again, personal preference. Some people don't fancy cooking with it, and that's okay. The good thing about this recipe is that you can, in fact, pretty much make it up with only needing to buy one ingredient, and that is the cottage cheese. Not too many of us would probably have a tub of cottage cheese in the house, but again, not too difficult to pick it up. And it doesn't matter if you can't get the low fat or fat free one, you can always just go for whatever you can get. And again, whatever you've got in the cupboard, whatever you've got in the fridge, whether it's bacon or courgette, red onion, you can just go ahead and add that in with your mix. So really up to you what you put into it. So the first thing I want you to do is to add your bacon to the pan with a couple of squirts of spray oil. I am using the Fairy Light olive oil. If you don't have a spray oil, that's absolutely fine. A little drop of normal oil will do the job absolutely perfectly. So go ahead and add the bacon into the pan. Let it cook for a couple of minutes, and then you can add in your peppers and then your mushrooms as well. Once you get those peppers and mushrooms and your bacon all combined and they're nice and soft but not too soft that we have sort of removed all of the goodness from them, that's how they should look. So make sure that you just push them around the bottom of the dish. Make sure that there's a nice even distribution. So when you have your vegetables spread out across the bottom of your baking dish, then we are going to add in our cottage cheese. Don't be put off by it, honestly. Don't knock it. It really is a good recipe. I promise I wouldn't share it with you if it didn't taste really good. So here we have our cottage cheese. It's not too lumpy. You can't really see too well. Try and get that zoomed in. There we go. So we're going to add that over the top. Set it to the side and we'll start whisking our eggs. That'll do. And the next stage, bring the dish back in and we're going to pour this right over the top. Next stage, had some little cherry tomatoes earlier on. Just pop those on top. And some scallions. Again, personal preference what you want to add. And that's pretty much that, ready to go into the oven. Okay, so the next stage is to just go ahead and put this into the oven. You can set a timer for 30 minutes and then whenever we bring it out we'll let it rest for a further 10. So this is what your crustless quiche will look like, and it is piping hot just out of the oven. It's just going to sit here for about 10 minutes or so, just settle, and then it should be able to be cut up into portions and served either for your tea or, like I said, for a tasty lunch with some salad or baked potato. It's really quick and easy to make. It doesn't require a lot of ingredients. Certainly very, very cheap to make. And I think you should give it a go because I think you're really going to like this one.